My nephew kissed a little girl in kindergarten without permission and got the parents called in. As his jobless aunt, I was bribed by his overbearing CEO dad to go and take the scolding. Who would have thought I'd run into my ex there? Damn, when did my ex become the principal? Zusi stared at me with a dark face, pointed at my nephew, and asked, "Mine?" Holy hell! I just got back from a holiday in Sanya. Less than an hour after landing, I received a message from my brother. Fuck. My nephew had kissed another little girl in kindergarten, and they'd called the parents. My brother called and summed it up. He wanted me to pretend to be his wife and take the blame. I asked why my sister-in-law couldn't go herself. My brother was ice cold and only said 2 words. "Don't ask." Then he instantly transferred 500,000 yuan into my bank account. How could I refuse? Hell yeah! I was going. Luckily, I had to go the next day. Otherwise, I couldn't guarantee my American-style hot girl outfit wouldn't be a bad influence on the kids. As soon as I got home and dropped my luggage, I searched the whole house for my nephew to find out what had happened, so I could handle it properly. But then my brother called again. I answered. "What's up, bro?" My brother gritted his teeth. "Suyao, you dare ask what's wrong? My son's still waiting by the kindergarten gate." I suddenly remembered he'd told me to pick up my nephew. Oh right, I'd completely forgotten about him. Panicked, I grabbed my Ferrari keys and sped over in my bright red sports car. When I saw my nephew crouching by the gate, I felt genuinely guilty. "Sorry, kiddo." Auntie messed up. He was squatting by a tree by the road, doing his homework with a pen. When he saw me, his eyes lit up under his chubby cheeks. "Auntie." I quickly covered his mouth and whispered, "Be good. Call me Mom." My nephew's expression, a confused old man staring at a phone. It was morally questionable, but for 500,000 yuan, I could put up with it. I led the confused nephew to the car and bought him a sausage on the way. Kids are easy to please. After I explained everything and asked him to play along, he refused. He crossed his arms, cheeks puffed with anger. "Auntie, am I only worth 500,000? I wiped the oil off his mouth while he ate the sausage and lied. "Fine. Fine, you're worth 1,000,000 sausages, okay? That's more like." "Auntie." I threw him a tissue and told him to clean up himself. I got plenty of information out of him along the way. The little rascal wasn't depressed even after changing kindergartens. Good. Once we got home, I ate with him, struggled through his homework, and finally collapsed onto my bed. Looking after kids is exhausting. I thought having my sister-in-law around would make things easier. But no, right after I landed, my sister-in-law, who'd picked me up from the airport, was tricked onto a plane by my brother. He said she should go keep him company, and I could handle things at home. He even claimed the tickets were already bought, so it would be a waste not to go. He just missed his wife. Shameless. And he made me look after the kid. So I came back just to babysit for you two. In the end, my brother added another 100,000 to shut me up and left the kid with me. Fine. Blood is thicker than water. The next morning, I woke up early and got ready extra carefully. Even if I was going to be told off, I was going to look stunning. My nephew watched me put on makeup while drinking milk, occasionally urging, "Auntie, are you done yet?" I reassured him. "Almost. Just the eyeliner. It was the weekend anyway, no rush." I couldn't stand his pitiful look, so I waved. "After this, I'll take you for barbecue, okay?" Immediately, he rushed to pick a handbag for me. I finally finished getting ready and looked in the mirror. Perfect. Head to toe glamorous. Every strand of hair beautiful. My nephew hugged my leg, drooling slightly. "Auntie, you're so pretty." I knelt down and stroked his head. "Good boy. What should you call me?" My nephew rolled his eyes, "Mother." I twitched my mouth. I really should let him watch fewer K-dramas. In the car, I found out why the school had called the parents so suddenly. A boy had bullied a little girl in class. My nephew stepped in to protect her. He announced to the whole class that the girl was his, and no one was allowed to touch her. Then he kissed her on the cheek and called it his mark. Then the teacher arrived. I massaged my temples. He was just like his father, total arrogant CEO vibes. When we reached the kindergarten, I looked at my nephew seriously. "Ready?" He nodded. "Yes." "Chief." "Yes." "Mom." "Good boy. Quick learner." On the way to the teacher's office, my nephew and I turned quite a few heads. "Hey, Emph." I spent ages getting ready for this moment. How could anyone not be charmed? But before I could charm anyone, I nearly died. After explaining what happened with the teacher, both families apologized and understood each other. I thought it was over, and we were about to leave for barbecue. Halfway, my nephew suddenly needed the toilet. I waited for him outside, then took his hand and had only walked a few steps when my ex appeared out of nowhere. He stood in front of us with a dark expression. Truly, too many toilet breaks get you into trouble. Zusi stared at me, pointed at my nephew, and asked, "Mine?" My nephew drank his ad calcium milk, looking highly amused. When I didn't answer, my nephew suddenly said, "Yes, Mummy, explain quickly." Daddy's worried. Should I explain or not? Other teachers were behind Zusi, clearly enjoying the drama. Explaining would blow my cover. I gritted my teeth and decided to commit to the act. I stepped forward and held Zusi's hand. Then I said reluctantly, as if I'd eaten something disgusting, "Let me explain." Zusi pulled his hand away, picked up my nephew, and walked toward his office. Before leaving, he explained to the teachers behind him, "Sorry everyone, I have something to deal with." The teachers nodded understandingly, still watching with interest. I followed behind. Inside Zusi's office, he sat at his desk with a serious look. I looked at the sign on his desk. Bloody hell, principal. And Zusi himself. 6 years had made him more mature, with an undeniable air of authority. His face practically said, "I'm giving you a chance to explain." I gritted my teeth. Only one option left. I rushed forward, grabbed my nephew, and prepared to run. Explain? My ass. But before I could take a step, I heard, "Is this Miss Sue's explanation?" I scoffed, leaned both hands on his desk, and refused to back down. "What explanation do you want? That the kid's yours? That I missed you? Or that I love you?" The word love seemed to touch a nerve. Zusi's tone turned cold. "Su Yao." I shrugged. "I never said he was yours, Mr. Zhu. Don't get ideas." Zusi sneered and stood up. "Very well. So Miss Su plans to lie to me again? Miss Su, you may leave. I don't have time for roleplay." I exhaled and told the truth. "He's not yours. And he's not mine. He's my brother's son. You're the principal, check for yourself. I only came to take the blame for them. Zusi, I'm really sorry about what happened back then." "I'm sorry." I took my nephew's hand and walked out of Zusi's office. I thought I heard him mutter, "Idiot." When we got home, I kept my promise and ordered barbecue for my nephew. I took out my tablet and pretended to watch a drama, but I was just zoning out. I didn't take in a single scene. All I could think about was Zusi, and his last word, "Liar." 6 years ago, we were at university. My family didn't want me to become spoiled, so they gave me very little pocket money, only around 2,000 yuan a month. For a rich girl like me who spent money freely, it was barely enough for a pair of socks. Naturally, I spent it all at the start of the month. I was squatting outside a convenience store, practically starving, when Zusi stood in front of me and gave me a bread roll. The shop owner had given it to him. He didn't like sweet food, so he gave it to me. After finding out he worked part-time at a bakery, I started sticking close to him. I thought no one really cared about me, and I slowly became his shadow. I heard Zusi didn't like people being too close. I thought he'd be annoyed, but he didn't complain. Instead, he gave me his daily staff benefits, claiming he didn't like cake. We worked part-time together, joined competitions together, won scholarships together. Instead of shopping with other girls using their parents' cards, I preferred staying with Zusi, listening to him explain my homework. Those were undoubtedly the happiest days of my university life. Whenever I saw Zusi with another girl, I felt jealous and upset. I knew I was done for. When I realized I couldn't see him as just a friend, I knew I liked him. Before I could confess, he confessed to me. I really was lucky. That day, Zusi held a big bunch of sunflowers and confessed to me at the bakery where we first met. I took the sunflowers and hugged him. Just like that, we got together. Life was wonderful with him by my side. After we got together, Zusi always had my strawberry lip balm on his lips. He said his lips got dry, so he borrowed mine. Then he'd kiss me. Once, after watching a film, we stood in front of a shop window in the city center. He pointed at a building and talked about our future. I smiled and cried. After that day, I was scared. Scared that when Zusi found out the truth, he'd leave me. The truth couldn't stay hidden forever. On my birthday, I stood in front of Zusi wearing an expensive designer dress. He was wearing a waiter's uniform, holding a tray. Zusi handed me a glass of champagne without expression, as if we were strangers. After the party, I found Zusi washing dishes in the corner. I said calmly, "Zusi, I'm sorry I lied to you. You can see the difference between us. Let's break up." I was the one who said it. Zusi didn't ask why. He only left 2 words, "liar." That birthday was terrible. I was depressed for a week. I lost 7 kilograms from heartbreak. Soon after, My family's company had financial problems. My parents had a car accident. My brother came back from abroad, and we took over the family business together. After sorting out domestic issues, overseas investments went wrong. My sister-in-law was pregnant and had an unstable pregnancy, so she couldn't fly. So I went abroad instead of my brother. I stayed there for 7 years. Last night, after ordering barbecue for my nephew, I bought a few beers to make the order a round number. I ended up drinking all of them alone. The next morning, my nephew dragged me awake. He shouted about a home visit. I scratched my head thinking, why do all these things happen when his real parents aren't here? I'm grumpy when woken up, but all my mood vanished when I opened the door. I quickly shut it again and asked my nephew anxiously, "Where's your form teacher?" My nephew ate instant noodles and said, "Miss Lin got married. Only Mr. Zhu is free today." Oh my god. I quickly threw his instant noodles in the bin and covered them with 10 tissues to hide the evidence. Then I told my nephew to entertain Zuci while I rushed to the bathroom to fix myself up. When I came out, the two of them were sitting neatly on the sofa. Weirdly enough, it looked quite harmonious. I poured Zuci a glass of water and sat next to my nephew. Before I'd even settled in, Zuci held up a packet of pickled cabbage instant noodles. "You let Yan Yan eat this?" It was like a police officer presenting evidence in an interrogation room. I was slightly panicked. This home visit would definitely be reported to my brother. The little rascal must have eaten tons of snacks while I was asleep. And my brother was strict about junk food. Let's just say I still have good teeth because of him. I looked at my nephew's pleading, cute eyes and gritted my teeth, nodding. "Great, having you is such a blessing." Then he lectured me. "Su Yao, Yanyan's still little. He can't eat this junk food, you know?" I hung my head, completely defeated. I know. Right after I spoke, my stomach rumbled loudly. How embarrassing. Zuci sighed, then asked my nephew if they could use the kitchen. He rolled up his sleeves and cooked. I sat there hungry, filling in a questionnaire mostly about my nephew's education. When I finished, Zuci came out with a bowl of noodles. I shamelessly ate it. His cooking was too good to waste. Zuci sat beside me, reading my questionnaire with a serious look. When I finished eating, he handed me another form. "Fill this in too." I looked closely. It was all about parental relationships. Why should I fill this in? My brother, the cold CEO, was the real parent. He must have noticed my frown. He explained, "A substitute parent is still a parent." I huffed. Fine. I'd fill it in. But the questions were really private. Things like, have you ever been remarried? Do you have trust issues with your partner? This was a parental questionnaire. It felt like a dating survey. I wrote no 10 times in a row. I felt drained afterwards, but I finally got rid of Zuci. Before he left, I even asked him to wash the dishes. I held up the completed questionnaire and tilted my head. "Why don't you wash the dishes before you go?" Zuci looked like he wanted to stamp lazy on my forehead. I explained, "The cleaner's not here today. Please, Mr. Zhu." Zuci looked at me. "Don't you have hands?" I replied shamelessly, "You cook the noodles. Be consistent." Then he rolled up his sleeves and walked to the kitchen, muttering, "Might as well feed a pig." I decided not to argue. One problem after another. This kindergarten was such a hassle. The school was organizing an autumn trip during the national holiday. I looked at the screenshot my brother sent from the parents' group chat. Fuck. Maybe he shouldn't go to school at all. But there was no way out. I packed my nephew's bag and went on the school bus with him. On the bus, I saw Zuci sitting next to me. I could barely believe my eyes. My nephew explained, "Auntie, Miss Lin's still on her wedding holiday. Mr. Zhu is our temporary form teacher until she comes back." I decided to ignore him. I put on an eye mask, listened to music, and leaned on my nephew to sleep. I was woken up before I fell asleep. I took off my eye mask and saw my nephew's pitiful face. "Auntie, I'm only a kid. I can't support you." Me. Seeing I didn't reply, he cleverly suggested, "Why don't you lean on Mr. Zhu, Auntie?" I smiled politely and decided not to sleep. 30 minutes later, I was leaning on Zuci, sleeping soundly. Sigh. Another day of embarrassment. When I woke up and saw the drool on his shoulder, I wiped my mouth guiltily and ran off with my nephew. It was supposed to be an autumn trip, just parents and kids hanging out outdoors, heading back before dark. To my surprise, I got left behind. I'd accidentally dropped my phone when I left. I planned to go back for it. I told my nephew to get on the bus first, saying I'd catch the last one after finding my phone. But when I returned, there were only tire tracks. My nephew had used my phone until it had 2% battery left. Before it died, I quickly called my brother. In the 30 seconds before it switched off, I shouted, "Bro, I'm stuck in the mountains. Send someone to save me." Then the screen went black. I sat hopelessly in a small tent. Luckily, there was one. It got cold at night in autumn. I huddled in the corner without a blanket. No phone. No idea what time it was. I just waited. I thought I'd be safe. But then I heard a wolf howl. I was terrified, nearly in tears, but I hid quietly so it wouldn't notice me. Help! I wasn't going to die here, was I? A shadow appeared outside the tent. I thought it was a wolf and grabbed a rock to fight. It was Zusi. I froze, dropped the rock, and cried louder than ever. I hugged him, snot and tears everywhere. Wow, Zusi! I was so scared. I thought I was going to die. I sobbed. Zusi held me and comforted me. "Don't be afraid. I'm here. Everything's okay." I nodded, crying uncontrollably. After I calmed down, I held his hand tightly in the dark. I was terrified. When we got home, my nephew tried to comfort me, but I was still in shock, holding Zusi's hand and refusing to let go. I'd been bitten by a dog when I was little. I'd been afraid of dogs ever since, let alone wolves. I only fully relaxed once I sat on the sofa at home. I tried to pull my hand away, but Zusi wouldn't let me. He told my nephew to do his homework and to close the door. I asked, "How? How did you know I was left behind?" Instead, he lectured me seriously. "Su Yao, do you know how dangerous it would have been if I hadn't found you?" I hung my head and didn't dare speak. Tears fell from my eyes onto his hand. Zusi froze and stopped talking. I sobbed. "I'm sorry. I only ever cause you trouble." Zusi held me gently. "Don't cry. I'm sorry I scared you." I shouldn't have spoken so harshly. He poured me a glass of milk, told me to drink it and sleep early, then left. I drank the milk, feeling terrible. I didn't mean to go back for it either. Phones can be replaced, but that phone had so many photos of me and Zusi memories I couldn't bear to lose. It wasn't expensive, but I'd bought it with a month's hard part-time work at university. In my room, I turned on my phone. The screen had several obvious scratches. I'd replaced the screen protector multiple times, but I could never throw it away. After charging it, I looked through our old photos. Thankfully, they were still there. All the memories. After that incident, I carried on taking my nephew to and from kindergarten as usual. Sometimes I woke up early and made him breakfast. When I was alone at home, I'd take out my phone and keep looking at the photos of Zusi and me. Sometimes I'd zone out for ages. There was a hidden reason why I broke up with Zusi back then. My mom had caught us together and looked into his background completely. Single-parent family, seriously ill mother. She labeled him as coming from a useless family. I'd never seen my mom so serious that night. Her seriousness wasn't in her expression, it was in the cruel words she spoke in the softest tone. She poured me a glass of water and said slowly, "Yao Yao, do you know what class is? I don't approve of you being with that Zusi. I raised you well for years. Not so you could help the poor." My mom smiled as she spoke. I tried to say something, but she cut me off. She stood behind me, placed her hands on my shoulders, and whispered, "I never stop you dating. But don't choose from poor people. That antique piano you had as a child could feed his family for several lifetimes." With that, she walked away in her high heels. I was left alone, staring at the cold tea. I didn't drink it, but it weighed heavy on my heart. After that, I started acting difficult on purpose. I asked Zusi to drive me to another city in the middle of the night for cake. I demanded expensive gifts, then complained they weren't good enough. Once I took the flowers he'd bought me and threw them in the bin, making sure he saw. Zusi got angry. I'd achieved my goal. Later, when no one was around, I cried and picked them back up. I was being completely unreasonable. We argued every single day during that time. But the worse I acted, the more I realized how good Zusi was to me. Sometimes I wondered, is this really right? Do I really have to break up like this? I hesitated and stopped my childish behavior. At the very least, I wanted our last few days together to be happy memories. His affection only made me love him more, sink deeper. But my mom didn't give me much time. The day before my birthday party, my mom went after Zusi. She'd been in business for years. She knew how to hit where it hurt. She found out Zusi's mom had kidney disease, so serious she needed a transplant. But no donor had been found. She was only surviving on medication. I remember my mom picking out dresses for me, acting completely casual, holding them up to me. Her voice was still gentle. "Zusi's mother needs a kidney transplant, right? I actually already found one for her. Too bad my Yaya won't behave. I don't want to help the poor. Do you, Yao Yao? She handed me a dark blue designer dress. After you put this on, tell me your answer, okay? After changing, I agreed to break up with Zuci. I looked at myself in the mirror. The dress suited me perfectly, but it felt suffocating. After the birthday party, I watched Zuci washing dishes in the kitchen. My identity as a rich girl could no longer be hidden. Thinking about my mum's warning, I realized Zuci being there was probably her doing. All I could say was, let's break up. Zuci stopped washing. After a moment, he carried on. Just like that, we broke up. I didn't live well after that. I started suffering from insomnia. At first, sleeping pills helped a little. My parents thought I was just heartbroken and told me to rest. Then they went on another business trip. No one expected them to have an accident. They didn't survive. After that, no amount of sleeping pills could help me sleep. My brother came back to take charge. I was admitted to hospital for treatment. Once I improved, I went abroad. My sister-in-law was pregnant, and the overseas company was in chaos. It was my job to fix it. My brother worried about me and arranged the best psychiatrist abroad to treat my insomnia. My life became a routine. Company, hospital, home. I ran the overseas company well. Then my brother told me to come home. My brother came back a week later. I was finally free and got 2 days off. I was starting work the day after tomorrow. I nodded. It was true that I needed something to do. After learning about the company's recent projects, I randomly picked one that was nearly finished to follow up on. I checked the partner company. We were the subcontractor this time. The project was almost confirmed. Only the final contract remained to be signed. Next, we would meet for dinner to discuss the price. I called Deng Yit and arranged to discuss the cooperation at his restaurant. Deng Yit was a childhood friend I had never really got along with. For some reason, perhaps youthful affection, he had liked me since high school. I didn't like him back, and I wasn't the kind of person to lead someone on, so I turned down his confession. When my parents passed away, he had helped a lot. Through business dealings, we gradually became friends. When I arrived at the restaurant, Deng Yi introduced me to his girlfriend. I smiled and exchanged a few polite words. Afterwards, he sent someone to show me to a private room and went back to his girlfriend. I never expected the client would be Zhu Ci. I was genuinely surprised when I saw him. Once the dishes were served, the waiter brought over several bottles of good wine. I nodded and told him to thank Deng Yi. Zhu Ci sat beside me and snorted coldly, for no obvious reason. As soon as the conversation turned to cooperation, he began speaking sarcastically. I raised my glass as a gesture. Mr. Zhu, regarding the cooperation, we hope you can reduce the price by 5%. What do you think? Zhu Ci clinked glasses with me. I hope Miss Su understands this is not about giving out red wine. We are discussing business, not charity. Me? What did that have to do with the wine? Why bring it up? Afterwards, the subtext between Zhu Ci and me was so sharp that anyone listening would have thought we were about to pull each other's hair out. The dinner ended on unfriendly terms. Afterwards, I went to a bar alone. I ordered a whiskey, swirled the ice ball in the glass, and felt extremely annoyed. Deng Yi was on the second floor discussing business with his friends. When he came downstairs, he saw me sitting at the bar. He looked at me staring at my phone and frowned in mock disgust. TSTS, Xiao. Stop rubbing that thing. It's practically polished. Thinking about the unpleasant cooperation that night, I got angrier and angrier. I exhaled and said, "You're right." Drunk, I threw my phone on the floor and turned around to leave in a fit of temper. I went outside, got in my car, gave my brother's address, and then passed out. When I woke up again, my brother was standing by my bed with a serious expression. He looked at me and questioned, "You went drinking yesterday?" I nodded and took the hangover soup my sister-in-law had made, drinking it quietly. Before my brother left, he told me, "The guy downstairs is still here. Go and send him away." I was completely confused. Who? When I looked out the window, I saw Zhu Ci standing downstairs. I went down and opened the door. As soon as I opened it, Zhu Ci rushed over and hugged me. I pushed him away, confused. "What are you doing?" There was blood at the corner of Zhu Ci's mouth, and one eye was black and blue. My brother walked past with my sister-in-law, touched his nose, and said guiltily, "I hit him." After they left, Zhu Ci took out my phone. How did he get my phone from last night? He carefully wiped the shattered screen, his eyes filling with tears. He sounded like a child, speaking firmly. I was wrong. I shouldn't have acted cold and waited slowly. "Xiao, look at me." I looked at him. "Your face looks terrible. Also, what do you mean?" Waited slowly. He panicked and cried, Don't marry Deng Yiyut, okay? Suyao. Choose me. Don't marry him. Zhu Xi cried as he spoke. It was the first time I had seen him cry. The first time I had seen a boy cry like pearls falling. After learning the whole story, I pressed a cotton swab firmly against the corner of his mouth. He looked wronged, like a little dog. It hurts. I hit him angrily. You still feel pain? All that slow waiting, playing hard to get, acting cold. What were you trying to do? Zhu Xi held me and tried to explain. I just wanted to keep you close to me, that's all. I pushed him away and hit him with a pillow. You have so many tricks. If it wasn't for Deng Yiyue, you'd still be playing games with me. To be fair, I really owed this to Deng Yiyue. Deng Yiyue knew Zhu Xi was the ex I couldn't forget, and that I was the ex Zhu Xi couldn't forget either. He also knew my mother had spoken to him and forbidden us from being together. With planning from Deng Yiyue's girlfriend, the couple personally added the catalyst. They bought several wedding invitations, stating that Deng Yiyue and I would get married in a month. It was a shock to Zhu Xi, and they also encouraged me to throw my phone away. Afterwards, he called Zhu Xi out to discuss business. He found the phone, returned to the bar upstairs, and told Zhu Xi to give it to me, saying he was going on a business trip the next day. My brother was working overtime and called to ask how the project was going. Zhu Xi answered the phone. The next day, my brother saw Zhu Xi at our house. That night, I had drunkenly ranted about everything that happened between Zhu Xi and me, even falsely calling him a cheat. My brother lost his temper and punched him. Just like that, the misunderstanding from all those years ago was finally cleared up. A few days later, at a charity dinner, Zhu Xi was holding a glass of red wine, wearing a perfectly tailored suit. He looked incredibly handsome. Wealthy young ladies came up to flirt with him one after another. I walked over and blocked his admirers. Sorry, the position of Mrs. Zhu is already taken. Zhu Xi put his arm around my waist and replied confidently. The position of Miss Zhu's partner for life is also taken. Zhu Xi's friend came over and teased. Yo, Zhu Xi. The kindergarten tycoon finally caught his wife. I was confused by the nickname. Kindergarten tycoon? Later, I found out everything had been Zhu Xi's plan. Coming back, the parents' meeting, it had all been his scheme. Even my nephew had been bribed by him. How despicable. You think he only bought one kindergarten? Impossible. I should have known why the kindergarten was so annoying, even making us fill in relationship questionnaires. I looked at Zhu Xi, who was panicking beside me. When no one was looking, I slapped his bottom. You'd better explain everything when we get home, kindergarten tycoon. Under my questioning, he finally admitted everything. Honestly, if he wanted to get back together, he could have just said so. No need to be so reserved. Before the wedding, I took Zhu Xi to meet my brother. My brother still looked cool and arrogant. Luckily, my sister-in-law was there. She was a lifesaver. That day, I watched Zhu Xi carry bags and boxes through the door and was about to help. My brother suddenly appeared and pushed me away. Kids, go play. Stay out of this. I stared at my brother in shock. What was wrong with him? Had he lost his mind? Finally, we all sat in the living room, not knowing what to say. My brother looked unhappy. I didn't know how to start, so I held up my teacup. Drink some tea, everyone. My brother said bluntly. Drink what? You've already had 4 cups. This was. I really hoped my sister-in-law would appear immediately and save this awkward situation. Sure enough, 5 minutes later, my sister-in-law arrived. The savior was here. And look at my brother now, acting like a lovesick puppy. He walked over to her, wagging his tail, and took her slippers. My brother held her hand and asked shamelessly, Wife, why are you back? I thought you were on a business trip. My sister-in-law smiled. It was cancelled last minute, so I came back. My brother tried to kiss her, but she pushed him away. We have guests. Don't be silly. Then my brother sat on the sofa in an even worse mood. I was about to say something when my brother sent me away unhappily. Go back to your room. Come out for lunch at noon. I could only desperately signal to my sister-in-law, begging her to help Zhu Xi. My sister-in-law gave me a look that said she understood, then immediately sat next to my brother. My brother's aura immediately weakened by half. Sure enough, only she could handle him. When I came out for dinner, my brother and Zhu Xi were getting along surprisingly well. My sister-in-law winked at me and whispered, It's all sorted. He's a good guy, and he treats you well. I sighed in relief and quickly thanked her, acting coquettish. After dinner, my brother insisted on driving me home. When the car stopped downstairs, my brother stared at the steering wheel in silence. After a long while he spoke. Yeah, you've grown up. It's time for you to marry. But you'll always be a little kid to me. He took out a piece of paper. His eyes read. This is the prenuptial agreement he signed today. Don't worry. I'll arrange everything for you. If he ever dares to treat you badly, I'll be the first to kill him. I looked at the prenuptial agreement in my hand. It was full of terms that only benefited me. My brother was truly the best. Don't worry. Even if I'm gone, even when I'm 80 and can't walk, if you're ever wronged by the Zhu family, Yanyan will help you deal with him. I looked at my brother. My heart touched. Thank goodness I had a brother who loved me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known what to do when the sky fell. My brother took a deep breath, holding back his tears, and took a bag from the back seat. He opened it and took out the contents. This is the jade bracelet Mum picked for you when you turned 18, and the gold jewelry. I've kept them since Mum and Dad had the accident. You're getting married soon, so now is the perfect time to give them to you. I looked at the gift box in my hand and started to choke up. Brother, thank you, my brother sighed. Go back inside. Don't cry. You look uglier when you cry than your sister-in-law. I was completely dumbfounded. On the wedding day, my nephew, who had been eager for me to marry, cried his eyes out. He hugged my leg and kept saying, Auntie, don't go. I have handsome guys here. When Uncle dies, you can come back to me. With that, he took out a piece of paper with photos of cute boys inside. It read, when I grow up, I'll introduce my handsome friends to Auntie. Signed, Suyan. I rolled my eyes. That unlucky child was trying to make me break my back. Sure enough, Zusi was furious. It took me a whole week to calm him down. During the wedding ceremony, I linked my arm through my brother's and walked towards Zusi. My brother looked at me reluctantly, then let go of my hand and walked off the stage. Shortly after, I saw my brother in the corner, wiping his eyes with a tissue. My sister-in-law walked over, held his hand, and watched me on stage. Zusia had written me many letters over the years, but he never sent them. I accidentally found them once and read every single one. On the envelopes it said, the only one I love. I touched my big belly, smiled, and kept them safely. Yes, the only one I love. The person I love is Suyao. I first met Suyao at university. Back then, she was squatting alone outside the bakery, her face pale, looking pitiful. She was lucky I didn't like sweet food, so the small cake the shop owner gave me ended up in her hands. I never expected that one gift would lead to her following me everywhere. After that, she was always by my side. I thought she liked me, but it turned out I was just imagining things. Yet as we spent more time together, I gradually fell for her. Her smile, her strange and cute little actions, they all tugged at my heart. That summer, I held a bunch of sunflowers and confessed to her. My heart was set on her, and I succeeded. After being with Suyao, I started planning our future. I wanted to give her the best and marry her. Whenever I mentioned her parents, she always looked sad. Then one night, I found out she was hiding something from me. Her mother stood before her with arrogance, drawing an uncrossable line between us. Suyao broke up with me to save my mother's illness. What she didn't know was that I had heard her conversation with her mother. My mother passed away that autumn. I don't know how I got through it. She went abroad, so I waited. I waited until she came back, so I could keep her by my side forever. Late at night, I would always pick up a pen and write down how much I missed Suyao. When she finally came back, I had never been so happy. I prepared everything before she returned. I bought several kindergartens, including the one her nephew attended. Yes, that's right. I was the one who called the parents. The home visit was also my plan. The parent relationship questionnaire. I had prepared that long ago. During the autumn trip, God knows how happy I was when she rested her head on my shoulder. But I never thought she was so clumsy that she got left behind in the mountains. I drove there without stopping. When I saw her huddled alone in the tent, too scared to move, my heart had never felt so anxious. Perhaps only after experiencing life and death do you understand how much you cherish each other. All I know is, when I held Suyao that day, it felt like I was holding the whole world. Nephew's perspective. Mr. Zhu has always been scheming. He wants to chase my auntie. I can tell. After all, the way he looks at her is completely different from how he looks at everyone else. You're not afraid of thieves stealing, you're afraid they're plotting. He's even plotting against me. How despicable. So on the wedding day, I showed the proof that Auntie wanted handsome guys. She told me to save the cutest boys around for her. That should make Auntie change her mind and not marry Mr. Zhu, right? Who knew my bottom would be sore that same night? It was so unfair. I was determined to fight Mr. Zhu and get Auntie back. Lying on the bed, cream on my bottom, I felt extremely unhappy. Would Auntie be thinking of me at this hour? Mr. Zhu is so old-fashioned. He probably makes her do homework every day. I never expected Mr. Zhu to bribe me, telling me to sit next to Zhao Fang. Mr. Zhu, you have good taste. Fine. You win. Auntie is yours. Meanwhile, Zhu Ci, who had just rearranged the children's seat, had no idea that in someone else's heart, he had been blocked and unblocked again.